some of the most passionate, exciting, dynamic poetry written in the history of the English language by authors who in many cases have become so classic and so part of our thinking and our culture that we sometimes forget who they are. So I'd like to take this group back to poetry written between the 1790s and 1820 in England that deal with the issues of coming into the modern world and what that meant for human psychology, human politics, views of history, problems with science and technology, all the issues that have become major in the 20th and 21st century rose to prominence at the time of the Romantic poets. Now there's all kinds of approaches that can be taken to English Romantic poetry, and I've decided to concentrate on the conflict at the heart of it, because it came about at a time, the 1790s, just after the French Revolution, in which there were ongoing debates about the nature of human life, the nature of political institutions, and so all of these poets were involved in looking forward to possible revolutionary forms of organization and being. But they were also very concerned that certain things from the past were being lost, and they wrote about those as well. So this poetry exists on the cusp between revolution and retrospection, looking ahead and looking back at the same time. And that creates a conflicted dynamic that makes the poetry especially exciting, sometimes agonizing, sometimes exhilarating, but always powerful. The first generation of English Romantic poets, starting their writing in the 1790s, include in this course William Wordsworth, his colleague and sometimes rival, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and Mary Darby Robinson, one of the major women poets of the age who also became an accomplished critic and had a remarkable history of her own. And then we'll move on to the so-called second generation of Romantic poets, which included George Gordon Lord Byron, one of the most notorious and exciting figures of the era, and Percy Bysshe Shelley, and John Keats, with whom we will finish. I'm hoping that everyone who comes to this seminar will get a great deal out of it about, in some ways, how the thinking of the modern world came into being. This was a time of great transition between the 18th and the 19th century, in which all kinds of modern institutions and ideas came into being. And at the same time, there was a fear about what was being lost in that process. And we still share some of those fears today. We're still in a time that looks back and looks ahead simultaneously, and sometimes feels the conflict between those. So I'm hoping that understanding these poets, really understanding them, their historical roots, their artistic techniques, what they've left us as ways of thinking about the world, will help us understand how we came into the modern world today. So I hope you'll consider joining me for the Romantic Poets, Revolution and Retrospection, starting in October in the Humanities Seminars program. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you.